Hi, and welcome back to InstaVision. I'm Glenn Reynolds. Well, it's all about guns today, and well, at least until the fiscal cliff, should I call it a debacle? Whatever it was, that's all anyone was talking about. I'm joined by Bob Owens. Bob blogs at bobowens.com, and he writes about guns for Shooting Illustrated and PJ Media, and it's hard to imagine anybody who'd be better to talk with about this subject. So welcome. Thanks for joining us, Bob.
Thanks for having me on, Glenn.
So the election's over, and with the Newtown shootings as a news peg, suddenly Democrats who didn't seem to want to talk about this subject much before November are going full bore for gun control. Is that a surprise?
It's not really a surprise when you look at Barack Obama's track record going back to his days in the Illinois State Senate. He has always wanted to go after guns. He has no use for guns or for people who use guns. And the fact that he would use such a brutal tragedy, while it is disgusting, it is hardly a shock.
The thing that's really struck me about the Newtown aftermath, more than sort of any previous one even, is just the open hatred and the wishes for violence aimed at the NRA and gun owners. People like Joyce Carol Oates and Mark Helgenberger were tweeting along with some Democratic politicians, wishes that NRA members would be shot. The Des Moines Register even had a columnist calling for the NRA to be declared a terrorist organization and saying that maybe John Boehner and Mitch McConnell should be dragged behind a truck until they changed their mind and supported gun control. Why are these people so angry?
I think a lot of it is displaced anger at not getting exactly what they want all the time. They feel so close to being able to pull off a socialist coup over this country, and the only thing they feel standing between them and the government that they would like to have is a few tens of millions of Americans out there with firearms who would stand in opposition to that.
Well, how have gun owners responded? I mean, they seem to be buying a lot of guns and ammo. In fact, I went to a website that sells ammunition that's run by some of my former law students, and it lets you see the inventory in real time. So what I saw was a lot of sold out stuff, and that kind of struck me because they normally have big inventories, and I understand the stuff's just flying off the shelves everywhere.
And yeah, you're right. And it's not just the ammunition. I went to several of the local gun shops here, and I confirmed it with friends around the country that not only are the semi-automatic rifles and pistols that would be affected by Senator Feinstein's ban, the ones being purchased, they are buying every single possible weapon of military utility dating back to 100 and 150 years. We're seeing 1898 era Russian rifles, the Mosin Nagants. I can't find them anywhere. Anything that has the potential to be used as a weapon is being bought up by people, which is a completely different scenario than what we saw in '94 when people bought the banned gun, the guns that would be part of the ban. What we're seeing here is a country getting ready for a civil war.
Well, that's a pretty dramatic statement. Do you really think that's right? I mean, I do think that that people call Barack Obama the world's greatest gun salesman, partly because he not only inspires, I think, fear of a gun ban or sort of thing, but because he talks about gun owners with contempt. And I think people have a feeling that he actually sort of wants them to be humiliated, that he sees them not as fellow citizens who he disagrees with, but as evil and wrong. Do you think that's inspiring kind of a pushback, a response in kind?
It is very much so. When I look at Obama, I see a General Thomas Gage from the Revolutionary War. He was in charge of the colonies, and he set upon his own little gun control gambit on April 19th, 1775. That was Lexington and Concord, and we know what happened from there. That first attempt at gun confiscation led to the Revolutionary War. Yes, I did say that we have a lot of people that think that they're on the edge of a civil war, and with a down economy, with a president that has very little regard for the people, very much a let them eat cake while I take another $7 million trip back to Hawaii sort of attitude, we don't feel very comfortable with this government. We don't trust this government. And when I say we, I'm talking about gun owners in general, and that is not a Republican or a Democratic thing. and it's quite terrifying.
Well, that's right. In fact, one of the stats we've seen is that actually Democrats have been buying guns in increasing numbers as well.
Absolutely.
Now, one of the generals I think involved in the Lexington and Concord thing was a British general named Clinton. According to a different Clinton, Bill Clinton, the 1994 assault weapons ban cost the Democrats the Congress. Do you think that a new gun control bill might have a similar effect this time around?
It could not only hurt the Democratic Party, it could hurt the Republican Party if it got through. Right now, all that we have, as you know, and I say we, the Republicans have control of the House of Representatives, but there is some talk going on that John Boehner may be a bit squishy on this and let a magazine ban through, may let another assault weapons ban through. And if he does that, it could be very bad for both parties, especially the language that Senator Feinstein's trying to push, which is a confiscation.
Yeah, you know, it seemed to me, you would think that with a country this divided and, as you say, in down economic times and with so many other troubles, I know there's a USA Today Gallup poll out today that says Americans are unusually depressed about the coming year compared to the inauguration of other presidents in the past. You would think that somebody would be trying to sort of reassure people, damp down concerns, you know, pour oil on the troubled waters or whatever your appropriate metaphor is. That doesn't seem to be happening here. We seem to have seen sort of an amping up of sort of hateful rhetoric and a desire to sort of bring the hammer down.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. We're looking at a Democratic Party where Obama is going into his second term. He's got 4 years to do everything he has ever wanted. And that terrifies folks. And instead of providing the reassuring language that we hope to hear, he's going on victory tours. The way he treated the Republicans the other day when they were talking about the fiscal cliff, and he was jumping all over them doing a victory lap, for lack of a better turn of phrase, is very disconcerting.
Well, it's somewhat unfortunate for the Republic. I think his personality is ill-suited for these times. Well, what's your prediction? Do you think something's going to pass?
It's really very difficult to tell at this point. You would hope that people would look at the backlash that would occur as the result of such a ban and how much more tension that would create, especially considering the fact it would do very little to stop any sort of crime. But you know, Washington, D.C. has not been a place of reason for several years now, and there's no real reason to think that would change now.
Well, I'm unfortunately inclined to agree with you there. The fiscal cliff discussions indeed show just how dysfunctional Washington has become. We're in our 4th year without a budget, and we just have one crisis after another where they pass a big, long bill that nobody's read. So I suppose it would be expecting a lot to expect them to deal with this issue any more responsibly. Well, last thing, where can viewers go for more information on what's going on?
Well, I'm trying to keep pretty good track of things over at my site, which is bob-owens.com. And, of course, you can read my commentary at Shooting Illustrated and PJTV and pjmedia.com.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to join us, Bob. And thanks to all of you for taking the time to join us, too, for this first InstaVision of 2013. We'll be back next week with more. In the meantime, have fun on the Internet. Thanks.